Hey Sens fans, what is up? Today we're doing probably about a 2 hour live stream. We're going to talk about some of the signings that the Ottawa Senators have made or are going to make in free agency. Obviously, they've already made a couple of signings, and we'll talk about those for sure. Hey Seb, thanks for joining the chat today. How are you doing? Uh, but yeah, so we're probably going to kick things off talking about some of the signings the Ottawa Senators made. Um, that's a given. Both announced earlier this morning. As you can see on screen here, we have Eric Brandstrom, who just signed a 1 year deal at about $2 million AAV. Would have liked to have seen some term on that one, but it is what it is. And yeah, so Eric Brandstrom back in the nation's capital for at least one more year. I know some have speculated that maybe he'll be used as a trade piece. I personally hope that's not the case. I'm giving away a little bit here. I was gonna pull up Brandstrom's Hockey Viz card here because um, Brandstrom's been oh God, come on, show me Branny. There we go. And Seb, I'll get to your question in just a second here, but Eric Brandstrom had some really impressive results this year, analytically, as you can see. His 5v5 offense generation was really good, had really good impacts on the defensive side of the puck, really up there on par with guys like Artem Zub, which is very impressive. I know Artem Zub was impacted by the injury, but obviously very impressive that Branson was able to do that. He took a big step this year, so I think that that was a good signing for the Ottawa Senators. And yeah, so 1 year, 2 mil doesn't come in at a high AV. That's probably because of the 1 year. Again, would have liked to have maybe seen 3 years around that number, but it is what it is. Um, Not much you can do there. I was going to pull up Jacob Bernard Docker as well, just to give you guys a glimpse. Obviously, his sample size is a lot smaller, so that impacts his stats here. Um, Obviously, he doesn't really provide much in the way of 5-on-5 offense, and that's okay. Hopefully, that improves, or at least comes down from a -9% there. But he is providing above average defense at 5-on-5, and that's good to see, especially for a younger defenseman who hasn't really made much of or hasn't had a lot of games in the NHL so far in his career. But Seb, to get to your question, I actually made a list of players who I think the Ottawa Senators should take a look at in free agency. Now, I don't think that the Ottawa Senators will necessarily sign any or all of these players, obviously, but I thought it was at least worth taking a look at some of the options that are on the table here today. Um, so I know some people want to bring in a top six forward. Makes a lot of sense to me. Obviously, if Alex Brinkat is out the door, you want to do something to replace that production. I've written down four names on a list that I think the Sens should pursue. Tyler Bertuzzi is not one of them, and I say that because I think he's going to get a bigger payday than some people are anticipating, just because of his time with his it was a small sample size, but his stint with the Boston Bruins, I think, is going to earn him upwards of $6 million, and I don't think the Sens want to lock into that. And also Tyler Bertuzzi, I mean, um, whether positive or negative, I won't comment on that, but his time during the COVID season where he didn't come to Canada at all because of the quarantine restrictions around unvaccinated players. To me, it seems unlikely like he'd want to come to Canada, but you never know. So for me, I listed four forwards who I think the Ottawa Senators could pursue in free agency if they want to maybe pop a guy in their top six. Now, obviously, they could still address this through trade. That is totally feasible. But I wanted to at least look at this from a free agency perspective. Who might the Ottawa Senators be interested in, and what they would provide at the lineup? So, kicking things off, I have Thomas Tatar. Now, I know he's not a star-studded name. He doesn't jump off the page to some people. I was gonna bring his stats up here just so people could see him. Um, Yeah, Thomas Tatar, he is already 32. He's going to hit 33 this season. So that is something to consider. His age is a factor. However, he had 48 points this season, and I think he's a guy an amazing. I mean, plus minus isn't something to really base all your conclusions off of, but he was a plus 41 for the Devils today or this year, which is insane. I know some people were really dialing in on the plus minus of guys like Alex DeBrincat and Drake Batherson. Um, Tom Tatar is one of those guys who, if you want someone to come in, fill in like a top six role in place of Alex DeBrincat, he definitely has the skill to do that. He was only averaging 15 minutes this season and managed 48 points in 82 games. Um, yeah, he's a good player. He even got a vote for the Selkie this year. Did not realize Tatar was a whole adult. Maybe I'm misunderstanding there, but analytically, he was a monster. I actually did not expect this at all from Thomas Tatar, but his even strength offensive impact was ridiculous at a plus 20%, and his defensive impact was also stellar at minus 11. He is really like a complete forward, and he barely got any power play time. So that's something to take note of too. If you were to plop a guy like Thomas Tatar in your top six, he's definitely going to get more than 48 points if he's also getting, first or likely in Ottawa second line power play time. So that's something to consider. Often feels like all NHL players are 22 and married with two children. That is true, Bex. That's very true. So yeah, no, I hear you. It's definitely funny, especially seeing certain players who you're like, oh yeah, I remember. Like for example, Mark Scheifele when he came into the league. I still think of Mark Scheifele as being like a guy who's in his like mid 20s. He's hitting like 30 now, and I'm like, oh boy, him and like Nathan McKinnon, Jonathan Duran. Um, that was my draft year, if you will. If I had been, draft eligible, the 2012 draft would have been me. So. Yeah, so getting a little off track here, but that's okay. We still got 53 minutes until free agency opens. Uh, Cap friendly here. I'm just going to refresh, see if anything else came down the wire. There is the rumor about the Oliver Ekman Larson signing that's happening with the Florida Panthers. Seems to make sense in my opinion. I mean, guy wants to go somewhere where he's more low key. He knows he's not going to earn big money. He was obviously way overpaid on his previous contract. Florida can take advantage of that. Fills a spot that they need in their blue line and makes sense. I have nothing really else to add there. Detroit, that was a weird trade. I understand that the whole future considerations aspect, Edmonton just needed to clear cap. I personally didn't understand why Yamamoto had negative trade value. To me, he's a pretty good player that could pop into your third line. And, I was going to talk about him later, but I'll bring up Yamamoto now. So Yamamoto didn't pop on the score sheet, but he's definitely a guy who at both ends of the ice contributes. He contributes offensively, defensively. He can play on your penalty kill. For a small guy, he actually is quite physical. For just a comparison, Alex DeBrincat this season had 109 hits, which was the same number as Travis Hamonic. Kaylor Yamamoto actually had 114, so he was right in and around there. So even though he's a smaller player, slightly taller than Alex Brinkat, he does use the body. So for a team that plays the DJ Smith style hockey of, throwing the body around, Kaylor Yamamoto is used to that, and he could definitely do that. So no need to worry about, small player syndrome or assumptions that some people make on smaller players. And just to pull up his regular statistics, he had 25 points in 58 games last year with the Oilers. So this season before he had 41 points in 81 games. So there's definitely some room for him to improve on that, and that's important to take note of. And the other thing that's really nice about him is I don't know how well you can see it on the stream, but I'll zoom in a bit here. You can see Yamamoto. He gets a high number of takeaways, which is really nice and rarely gives the puck away. So what I like about that is you have a player who is good with the puck possession, keeps on his stick. Also responsible defensively, taking the puck away from other teams. Love that. Seems to ghost in the playoffs. That's totally fair. It's one thing to consider. Uh, I mean, last year, 7 points in 14 games, I don't think is too bad. This year, though, I understand, 4 points in 12 games definitely could be improved upon. For me, though, what I think is important is Ottawa getting to the playoffs, and that's a problem that they've really had. Um, as past 6 years, it's been the longest drought, uh, I believe, in their franchise history of not making the playoffs. So we got to end that. Killer Yamamoto is not my number one target. He is just a guy that I think would be acceptable for the Sens to sign, and I would be all for it. Obviously, it depends on the cost and all that. Um, I have him pegged as a bottom six forward, more like a third line guy. I kind of made two categories, one for potential top six fits, one for potential bottom six fits. He's in the bottom six fits category. So I already spoke about Thomas Tatar and top six fit for him. The other guy who I saw some people mention was Jason Zucker, or Jason Zucker, however you pronounce him. Now, he's a guy who he is 31, so like Tatar, he's entering the latter half of his career, and he's not as much of an analytics darling as Thomas Tatar, but he definitely generates a lot of offense at 5v5, and he's maybe just under league average at 5-on-5 defense. However, he is a contributor at on the penalty kill, so that's something to keep in mind. Now, with Jason Zucker, how much of him and his points was playing with better talent on Pittsburgh? Not sure. However, if he was playing on a second line with Norris and Batherson, I feel like he would be a nice player to complement those guys. Jason Zucker, I believe he has a pretty good track record in the playoffs. I know he did well with Pittsburgh, and they really liked him there. Um, I'll just run it back here, find that those NHL playoff metrics. So yeah, like he seems to chip in a depth role. He contributes some points here and there. So I think if you put him in a top six role with the Sens, especially like I said, alongside a guy like Norris and Batherson, you're gonna see some more points there. I also have to check. Yeah, he lays the body quite a bit too, and as we know, DJ Smith loves that. So yeah, just bring up the cap friendly page here again. Nothing new. Just gonna make sure that this is all zoomed in because I wanted to make sure this all shows up well for everybody in the stream. And I'm gonna move my Discord over for a second here. One sec. This is the time where I need a third monitor. All right, so let's see here. Just want to make sure that's all good. All right, so let's go back to cap friendly here. All right, free agency 45 minutes. We're heading towards there. I'm going to talk about another potential top six fit for the Sens, and this was a surprising one for me. This was Daniel Sprong. So yesterday it was announced that the Seattle Kraken were not re-signing or even qualifying Daniel Sprong. So that's really interesting to me. Daniel Sprong is a guy who, a little better than league average defensively, but he contributes a lot of offense, and he was not playing very many minutes in Seattle. This is a guy who, if you put on your second line with Batherson and Norris, I think you're going to see increased production from him. He's going to get second line power play time, and I think he can help out there. I am very surprised that Seattle didn't think to qualify this guy at the very least. It's that someone would have to offer sheet Sprong if they wanted to get him or trade assets to Seattle. But hey, who knows? Seattle must have something else in mind. Just to bring up Sprong stats for anybody who's interested, he had 46 points in 66 games last year. Very good for a guy who I believe he was only averaging, 11 and a half minutes. That's surprisingly good to have that many points in that few minutes. I'll check his playoff stats because I honestly didn't follow his playoff stats much. Looks like, he only had 2 points in the playoffs, so maybe that's it. Maybe Seattle just was not happy with his playoff performance, but I don't know. It looks like he got reduced minutes in the playoffs, so that could have been a factor too. Um, on top of that, here's a guy who his possession numbers have always been really good. And so for me, you take a shot on a guy like him. Maybe he comes in a cheaper contract amount, and that's a guy who can plop into your top six and really contribute. So I definitely like that. Now, there's one more player who I was going to talk about for the top six, and I think this is a long shot. And I know there has been a lot of chatter of people who totally disagree with this. The player is cursed, locker room cancer, whatever. I wanted to bring this player up because I think it's at least worth mentioning, and that would be the one and only Matt Duchene, baby. So yeah, I know Matt Duchene. Some people have conflicting views on him. He really wasn't great defensively this year, but he's a guy who contributes 5-on-5 offense, power play offense, and he can help out a little bit on the penalty kill if you need him to. Just that 5-on-5 defense wasn't looking too hot for Duchesne there. Um, so yeah, that's a guy who the Sens could look out for. He also dipped in defensive results this year, so he's a guy who might bounce back to the prior season where he had over 80 points, which was a great electrifying offensive season for him with 43 goals and a great defensive season for him as well. So he's a guy who I think you could put in on your left wing on the second line, playing with Norris and Batherson, and I think the playmaking ability and all that would be sweet. However, I think Pierre Dorion, because if I'm not mistaken, Matt Duchene was part of the whole Uber incident back in Arizona a number of years ago. I could understand why they wouldn't pursue a guy like Matt Duchene, and hey, fine by me. I think he's at least an option to look at in free agency, especially if you want to replace a guy like DeBrincat and have a creative forward who can score some points. He's not a center anymore. Don't expect. Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I'm trying to suggest is if he were to play on Ottawa, he would likely be like a second line left wing, which I think would be honestly totally fine for him, especially because Norris has better defensive results. So I agree. I agree with you there. Um, just gonna take a little water break here. I've been talking for 20 minutes straight. Oh, all right. And feel free in chat if you want me to look at any of the analytics charts for any guys, you want me to bring up stats, talk about any players, more than happy to do that. Feel free. I'm just throwing out names here and just going through some stuff. So yeah. Um, but we'll get away from the Duchesne chatter for a second here. Um, okay, this is one of my favorite free agents this year. Evan Rodriguez. He is a great offensive contributor, power play, 5-on-5, great defensive player. He had 39 points in 69 games this year. I think that he would be an exceptional third line player that you can put alongside Pinto and Greg, for example. Or if Joseph is going to be on the third line this year, Pinto and Joseph, I think that would actually help Joseph's numbers for sure, because I know his offense really struggled this year. This is a guy who he can go up and down your lineup. If you have an injury on the second line, he can play in a pinch. And I just really like the player. I tweeted this yesterday, but he also played on the Pittsburgh Penguins when um, Ryan Bonus was the director of professional scouting for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and he did quite well there. So I think he's probably my top free agent target if the Sens bring Rodriguez in on a cheap third line contract, sort of. Well, I'm third line contract, but a contract that pays like let's just say up to 1.5 mil or something like that. I think he'd be a stellar pickup, and I'd be more than happy with that. Um, Duchesne's amazing season. Points two was his first full time in the wing with Forsberg and Grant. Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. Like, if you were to bring in a guy like Duchesne, he would play wing for sure. I don't think he would play center over Norris on that second line. Pavel Bunevich would be an interesting trade if the Blues would give him up. Yeah, let me bring up Bunevich, or Buchnevich, sorry. If I can spell his name, there it is. Okay, yeah. Wow, I actually didn't realize he had such a good season for the Blues last year. Damn. So yeah, a whole. Oh, I hope you guys didn't hear that notification. I just got a loud Microsoft notification. 67 points in 63 games last season, so that's pretty damn incredible. And season before that, he was over point per game as well. I'm actually curious. I'm gonna check his. I don't know what his contract is. Oh God. Oh God. Oh, okay, it came up. Sweet. Yeah, so he has a no trade clause. That's the only other thing. But I mean, 5.8 mil is not bad. It's just, are the Blues going to want to give him up or not? Like you said, possibility, but not sure if they would. I'm curious to bring up his. Let me bring up his chart here. Oh God, oh my God, I can't spell his name. The struggle is real, man. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? Just copy paste that name. Oh man. There we go. Holy crap. Man's a beast. This is ridiculous, by the way. This just basically shows that he's an offensive threat from basically anywhere here. So that's pretty ridiculous. He's just not great on the one edge where a defenseman would go, but that's fine. And then in front of the net, it looks like he's good defensively, which is nice to see. That's ridiculous, though. Holy crap. Um, anyway, yeah, no, he's a guy who I totally think you're probably giving up a first round pick at least to get him. But hey, who knows? I don't know if the Blues would want DeBrincat or if DeBrincat would want to extend with the Blues, but that could be a situation where, DeBrincat and Buchnevich, there's something to work out there for the two players. But yeah, that's totally a possibility. So thanks for bringing that one up. The other player I wanted to bring up, um, you know what? Oh yeah, I'll just bring it up here. Is Connor Sheary. Now, Connor Sheary's defensive impacts weren't as good this year, as you can kind of see. However, like Evan Rodriguez, he was a guy who played on the Pittsburgh Penguins and was there when Ryan Bonus was the director of professional scouting. So he's not going to be a guy who really helps you out on the power play, but as a third, potentially fourth line guy, I don't think that's what you want from him anyway. You're just going to want a guy who can, chip in offensively. I think his defensive metrics can actually improve. So I'm not really too worried about that. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about him, and I think he could help you out on the penalty kill as well. So Connor Sheary's a guy who I'd be all right with. Buchnevich unlikely to be traded, but if PD can swing it, I'd be happy. Yeah, for sure. It would be especially because for Ottawa, it's about getting guys who have term left, right? Now, I still think the gamble for Alex DeBrincat was a good one to make. I think that if he had re-signed long term, that would have been a hell of a deal. It's too bad that he wants to play in the U.S. It is what it is. What can you do? Um, the only thing I can really say on that is, you know, I don't know. I think Pierre Dorian, when he sees a big name out there, he tries to swing on them, he inquires, whatever. I can appreciate that. And I would rather a GM who makes a gamble and trades for a big name star player and it ends up not working out than a GM who kind of just sits passively by and I don't know, let's just say like DeBrincat, there were a lot of teams that could have used his scoring this year. And I know he struggled with Ottawa, but I guarantee you, whichever team he plays for next, he's getting like 35, 40 goals in his first season with them. So, yeah, that's all I have to say on that, really. But so I ran through Rodriguez, Sherry. I've talked about Tatar, Zucker, Sprong, Duchesne. Um, this one I think is less likely from the Sens perspective, but I thought I'd bring it up because the Senators, they like their veterans, but they said that they want veterans who are quality veterans who can bring something to the roster. And this is a guy who has playoff pedigree, has had a long career, has never played in Canada though, so that's the thing. However, this player would be none other than one Zach Parise. Hey, Brand, what's up? So Zach Parise is a guy who he could play on your PK. He's about league average at 5-on-5 defense. He at least can defend the front of the net well. He can contribute offensively, especially in the dirty areas in front of the net. And I think on like a second line power play, he's kind of, I don't want to say you're Brady Kachuk, but he's the guy that you plug in front of the net, and he can kind of get the rebounds, greasy goals, stuff like that, or work it behind the net, that kind of stuff. So older player, and like I said, don't think he's likely going to come to Ottawa, but I think if the Ottawa Senators sign him for a cheap contract, around the like 1 mil, 1.5 mark, totally reasonable to bring this guy in, and I think he can really help you. Um, like I said, age is up there. Like, man, Zach Parise, I can't believe he's 38 years old now. Nothing, just watch this free agent frenzy. Yeah, baby. I don't have the free agency stream open for TV, but that's okay because I'm here with you fine people on the stream. So give me Tavo Teravainen. Um, oh no, Reddit removed my post because they thought I was looking for streaming options. Um, that awkward moment when. I guess I should repost this to Reddit then. Fucking hell. Reddit. Um, okay, well, I'll. That's okay. I will message the mods. I have the mods on speed dial here. Tell them to throw that back up on Reddit for me. But anybody who's watching right now, feel free to let me know if there's any free agent targets you want the Sens to go after. I can pull up their stats. I can pull up, their hockey viz analytics, and we can go through that. I just quickly have to send a message here to the mods. Oh god, you gotta love AutoMod on Reddit, eh? Sometimes just pulling your post down and you're like, bro, come on. Um, all right, there we go. Sorry about that, everybody. You'd be happy with bringing Mott back? Yeah, Mott, honestly, it's too bad that he didn't work out here. And I think that it's possible that both sides won't want to come back to one another because I just think the situation didn't go like anyone planned. Um, but yeah, Tyler Mott, he's only 28. Like, he's not an old player. I think that he struggled with the Sens this year, and I think injuries didn't help. He played much better with the Rangers once he got traded there. Um, I can pull up his. Let me pull up his chart here, just so you guys can see. So yeah, I think that this kind of makes sense. Like, I think honestly he'd be better than this on the penalty kill and on even strength defense. He was definitely way better than this in his early days with Ottawa, but once the lines got jumbled and Tyler Mott had to start playing with a different center on that third line stuff, the lines got all messed up and his performance declined. So Mott is a guy. I just don't know if they'll want to meet up again just based off of how last season went for everybody. So now another guy I want to bring up. So I just talked about Zach Parise. Another guy I want to bring up is Kerfoot. Now I know, former Toronto Maple Leaf. I totally get that. Before anybody brings up the sloppy seconds of the Toronto Maple Leafs, we have to be realistic here and say that DJ Smith was formerly on the Toronto Maple Leafs. He's going to like some of the players that came up in that system, whether you like it or hate it. I can understand. Um, he's a guy who can be effective on your penalty kill, 5-on-5 defense, and although he had some colder offensive generation at 5-on-5 this year, he does chip in a little more offensively. So I'd say that Kerfoot is not the end of the world if the Sens trade for him. I'll bring up his stats here. As you can see, 32 points in 82 games. That's a lot better than what Ottawa was getting from their bottom six this season. So he would definitely be an improvement. Now, he plays center, but obviously if he was coming to the Sens, he would be playing wing. You'd put him on a line with like Pinto Joseph or, Greg and Pinto or something like that. So he's a player who I think you could put in on your third line, and he would be effective there. Garnet Hathaway, yeah. Let me bring up Hathaway because I was actually looking at Hathaway yesterday, I think, when I was writing up stuff for the live stream. So he got traded to Boston. I'm just gonna put Garnet here because it'll be easier. All right. So yeah, he had really good penalty kill results. He had good 5-on-5 defensive results, and he could chip in on 5-on-5 offense, which is everything you want from a depth player. This is great. So he's definitely a guy as well. Um, I don't know if he'll come to Ottawa. I feel like that's the kind of player who might sign with a team like Dallas, or I could even see like Vegas pursuing him, just because Vegas has lost some players due to finances and the salary cap there. Um, I think he could be coming in on the cheap. I would say between 1.5 and 2 million. So yeah, definitely a guy the Sens could target for their fourth line, and I think he like a lot of Sens fans I find talk about, they want like a rough and tumble fourth line, and I can appreciate that. And I think we've all seen that Ryan Reeves is expected to sign in Toronto. I wasn't too high on Ryan Reeves, and anybody who follows the Senstennial podcast on Twitter would know that. But I think if you're gonna go for a player who's more of like a tough customer, if you will, that getting a guy like Hathaway who can actually contribute defensively and a bit offensively is a much better choice than just going for Ryan Reeves because he can beat the crap out of people. I respect Ryan Reeves' game. He has uh, what do you call that? Like a presence about him, and people know that you don't want to screw with him. So I totally respect that about him. But to me, if you're the Ottawa Senators, you don't need a guy who can just punch people and beat people up. I think you need to have a guy who has a physical game, but actually plays defense and can chip in offensively. You think we're a little too rough and tumble, part of the reason Death lack scoring? For me, I just kind of thought that the Sens filled their bottom six, especially the fourth line, with players who just didn't really have much to their game. Like, were very much replacement level players. Parker Kelly looked good, a couple years ago? Since then, Parker Kelly has been a fringe NHLer. I love Austin Watson in terms of, him being a warrior and really, putting his body on the line for the team. But again, he's a guy who's, I would say, more 13th forward. Mark Haslick is fine, but I think his offense kind of suffered this season, and I think he needs better line mates. You had Gambrell, who was fine. He was an NHL player, I guess, but he again was like a fringe guy. He didn't really do much for you. Gauthier, I don't think really got a fair shot, if I'm being honest. I think they could have tried him out a little bit more. There's one other player I want to mention. Oh yeah, Patrick Brown. Again, okay player, but like these are all guys who don't really move the needle much in any way. And I think you look at a guy like Watson, and people call him like a rough and tumble player, and sure, but he wasn't great at it, and I think we all know that. So I think if you bring in a guy like Garnet Hathaway for your fourth line, that's a guy who is actually an effective hockey player, but is also like a tougher customer, if you will. So Cassie is one of the best face-off percentages, if I recall correctly. I think you're right, actually. Let me bring up Castlick here. I think he was pretty good at his face-offs this year. Yeah, 56.9% this year. So he definitely was a beast in the face-off circle, and the man hits a ton. So I can understand why he's a DJ Smith player. And hey, I like him too. Nothing wrong with good old Casty, okay? So I just want Casty to have better support around him. And I think if your fourth line is a guy like Cast, look, I don't know. I can look at other options for like who to put on the left wing on the fourth line. But for right wing, if Watson's not coming back, a guy like Garnet Hathaway, 6'3", big boy, he can lay some punishment down on your opponents, and him and Cassie on the line, ooh, that's terrorizing on the fourth. So I do like that. Let's just see if any more rumored deals have come in. Doesn't look like anything. Free agency is opening in 24 minutes. Oh yeah, Smakel. Dude, I actually forgot about Spakel, to be honest, and I feel really bad because I interviewed his head coach about him in whenever he signed, like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. But what I will not forget is that Smakel's coach, Martin Philander, said that he was like a Czech Hulk. And I think that's amazing. So Smakel, yeah, on the fourth line, I think that would be a good fit for him to start. I know his coach spoke about how Smakel could potentially move up into a top six role, like a second line role. If he's playing with skilled forwards, he can complement them. I don't think that'll be necessary in Ottawa. And I think if Smakel's playing in your top six, something has gone very wrong injury wise. Not to say that I dislike the player, I just think that he will likely be a bottom six player this season, and you don't want him to get too high up in your lineup unless you're forced to. I'm gonna take a drink and then I'll respond to you. Missed. One sec. All right. A couple rumor deals. Stolars to Florida and Blackwood is expected to re-up. Okay, so that's good. That means San Jose isn't wasting their sixth round pick on not being able to sign a guy. And Stolars to Florida. So I guess that means they're letting Lyon walk to free agency, which makes sense. I guess they just want. So actually, that's interesting though because they have Spencer Knight and Sergei Bobrovsky. So I'm wondering if their Stolars is their third string, or why not try and sign Blackwood? Hey June, I think Blackwood is actually Miss just said here that it's rumored that Blackwood's actually expected to re-sign with San Jose. I also don't think Blackwood. Yeah, I mean he's not great save percentage wise, but beyond that, I think that there are Nieto expect to get to, yeah, like Nieto makes sense as a depth player for Edmonton. But anyway, going to goaltenders. So my list was only four names, and I'm not counting trade targets. This is purely free agency. The one that I know there's been a lot of controversy around is Jonas Corposalo. Now, he's not my number one goalie target. He had a really good season with Columbus and LA this year, but before that, his results were subpar. And I'll bring up his stats because I was actually looking at them before I started the stream here. Corposalo, yes. So he's 29. I don't know what he's going to be looking for contract wise, but you know, with LA, he had a 921 save percentage. With Columbus, he had a 911 this season. Before that, really not too impressive in Columbus, but they haven't been a great team. So it's like, I don't know. It's tough. Um, Now, what's interesting is like it seems like his quality starts almost align with how good the team is. So if the team is playing well and he's getting win, like they're getting wins, sorry, his quality start percentage is above 500. Like here you can see 600 and this season it was 649, but 615 in Columbus and 727 in LA, like very good numbers, but what I'm concerned about is you look at the playoff numbers and he really struggled this year. And it's like if the Sens want to go after a goalie, I'm not sure if Corpusalo screams to me like a solid backup, you know? Like he could be. I could be wrong, but it's just if that's their goalie signing, I'm not feeling like 100% confident, you know? And Bran, I will get back to the Yamamoto talk if you want. I did bring him up earlier though, so but my guy, if I'm going with any goalie who's available this offseason, I think I would like to go with Varlamov. Oh my God, I can't even. Semyon Varlamov. Now, he's an older goalie, you know, around the same age as Cam Talbot was when Cam Talbot joined the Sens, but he is consistent. What I like to say about Varlamov, oh my God, this is what I get for talking for 40 minutes and only taking a couple sips of water. Your mouth starts to dry up. Um, he's a guy who's like Craig Anderson. He has a very consistent track record of above 900 save percentage minus like one season in Colorado. So you look at a guy like this, he gives steady results. Like I said, he's approaching the end of his career. However, very solid goaltender. And I would say if you have him in your lineup and him and Forsberg are a tandem and Sogard comes in if you need him in case, like, let's say Forsberg's really not over his injury or maybe there's another injury, hope not, then a guy like Sogard could come up. But I think Varlamov gives you a really solid backup or even starter goalie for this season and really shows that the Sens are trying to make a push for those playoffs. I just like Varlamov quite a bit, so I think he would be a guy who you could definitely go for to bolster your lineup. And he's only a couple seasons removed from getting some Vezina votes, so yeah. Speak. I use words. Deep breath, guys. I should take a deep breath. Here, I'll take some water. All right, I'll. What? Blackwood got 2.5 mil for 2 years? Dude, that guy just friggin' robbed San Jose. San Jose ownership just got some money taken from their bank accounts. Holy. Well, literally, but I mean, damn, I don't think Blackwood deserved that. Will new ownership have any say in who will be signing this UFA or this? So my guess is that if Dorion talked to Andlauer and made his recommendations that DJ Smith should return and Andlauer is keeping, well, I know he doesn't have a full say right now, but my guess is he's probably fine with them continuing to run this team for now because by the time the team was purchased, like the offseason was already, excuse me, the offseason was already underway. So I don't think it would have been smart to fire your front office and coaching staff and then try to bring someone in there like super quick. So I don't know how much influence he'll have, but don't know if it's 2.5 mil total or 2.5. Yeah, okay. If it's 2.5 mil total, that makes sense. If it's 2.5 per year, then Blackwood robbed the San Jose Sharks. Fantilli signed ELC. Yeah, I saw that was going to happen. That makes sense. That dude's ready to go in the NHL. I really liked Fantilli. Obviously, Bedard, number one overall pick. I think any other draft, Fantilli's the first overall pick. So I really liked him. But anyway, getting back to the Ottawa Senators. So I've given you my spiel about Varlamov. Don't worry, I'll get it right once before the end of the stream. I was going to go to Frederick Anderson. Now, the Sens have had good experiences with one Anderson, albeit spelt a bit differently. But Frederick Anderson, he had kind of like a down year, I would say, for the Carolina Hurricanes. Now, what's kind of funny is like the last few years, he's almost had a Craig Anderson esque last few years where it's like not so good season, pretty good season, okay season. So next season, this coming season, he's due. He's due. He's gonna go all out. He's gonna put up big numbers. That's just how goalies work, you know. But no, you know, for Frederick Anderson, he's only 1 year removed from being an all-star. You know, getting Bing votes, winning the William M. Jennings Trophy, and getting Vezina votes, finishing fourth there. So he's a guy who has a good track record. I know Bruce Garriock mentioned that the Sens are interested, so remains to be seen if that's actually the case there. I should bring up my Twitter actually because got to see what people are reporting out here. Interesting. So I also see that Bruce Garriock had talked about Sens trying to move to Brinkat ASAP. So that's interesting. We'll have to see what happens there. But yeah, I mean and Garriock I guess is also saying that a new team or two have entered the mix. So we shall see what happens there. I don't know. I think it's probably because if you look at the winger market this year, hands down, DeBrincat's the best winger on the market, and the only one who is competitive with DeBrincat, and competitive I use loosely because I think DeBrincat is still like far above this player, is Bertuzzi. And I think as soon as a team signs Bertuzzi in free agency, which I believe will happen very early on, being that he's the top winger on the market, I think Alex DeBrincat's value will rise, and I think that will help. And we'll see what happens from there. Actually, it's nice. I just spoke about Varlamov, and it looks like Garyok is saying the Sens will show interest in him if he doesn't sign an extension with the Islanders, and I think that would be huge. I am a big fan of Varlamov. Cam Talbot to LA. Yeah, I did see that. That was weeks who reported that out, eh, Brent? New Quinn. If we needed a pure backup, I'd go for Alex Stalock. How did Alex Stalock do this season? He's like another one of those guys. I feel like he's been in the NHL for friggin' ever. Oh yeah, God, he's almost 36, dude. This guy's older than Semyon Varlamov. What the hell? Jeez. Yeah, I guess as a backup, like 908 this season's fine. I'm not gonna count one single game with San Jose, but uh, the season before with Minnesota. Okay, stop doing that. Hockey. That. Yeah, season before Minnesota, decent numbers. Like, yeah, I guess as a backup, it wouldn't be awful. Um, Please let Alex Stalock retire. Like, make him retire. Damn, Bex, no mercy. Way too injured. That's fair. I mean, he did play 27 games this year, so it's not bad for a backup. But I can understand. You don't know what Forsberg's health's going to be. I would prefer to get a goaltender who can take a higher workload. That's just my preference, but Anlauer said the hockey decisions go through the GM. Yeah, and that makes sense. I'm glad because we don't need any hockey decisions having to go all the way up to the top. He was on Chicago, won them games. Yeah, yeah. I think. Oh yeah, Staylock. Sorry, someone did mention it earlier that it looks like Florida's interested in signing. Or no, Stolars was the one going to Florida. But anyway, all that to say, I'm not high on Staylock. I hope that they go for like an actual guy like Semyon Varlamov or even Frederick Anderson. I'm not opposed to that versus a more like career backup guy. The other names that I had for goaltenders, I had one other, and this one is like the one I was kind of more on the fence about, but I was like, this is a guy who I need to bring up just to at least have him mentioned, and that would be Antti Ranta. Now, he had a pretty good season, but I'm not sure. I know he's always had like an above 900 for most of his career. I don't know. There's something about Ronta that worries me. I don't know if it's just because he's barely played any games in a season. Like the most games he's played in a season is 47, and that was like 5 years ago. So for me, it's sketchy. I think that he could be a good backup, and maybe him and Forsberg would be a good duo. But for me, I kind of just want someone who's more solid and to me, I think that's a guy like Varlamov, maybe Anderson. I would put Ronta above Corpusalo in how much I'm interested, but I like barely. Um, yeah, so that's kind of what I gotta say. Those are the four goalies I wanted to talk about. Other than that, there were some more bottom six forwards I wanted to talk about, especially because I think yeah, free agency is opening soon. So guys, I got to get to these bottom six players. Wouldn't want to stay look for a 10 on my notes with the Sens need. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Okay. So talked about Hathaway, Tatar, Zucker, Sprong, Rodriguez, Shiri, Pareze, Kerfoot. Okay. So the next one on my list was Pierre Engvall. Now I know what everyone's gonna say. You talked about Kerfoot earlier. Now you want to talk about former Leafs player Pierre Engvall. I get it. I know, Leafs player, but he actually has really good impacts. Aside from the power play, he's got good offensive impacts. He's 26, so he fits in with the general age group of the Ottawa Senators. He's good on the PK. You can use him in a variety of spots. And he was an Islander in between playing for the Leafs and potentially being signed by the Sens. We'll see. So, so are you saying you're pro Ronta? I'd say as like he'd be like my third choice. Ronta would be my third choice for goalies. Okay. Yeah, so Engvall. Now, I had Engvall's stats up here earlier because I wanted to show you all. So, yeah, 30 points in 76 games. He's also 6'5", so he's a DJ Smith boy. DJ Smith will like that. The the one thing is, does he hit a lot? I don't know if he hits a lot. That's the only thing. Yeah, like he doesn't lay the body a lot. So he's 6'5", doesn't use the body as much as he could. However, he does put up points and he's a defensively responsible winger. So you could plop him on your third line and I think he would do fine in that role. And the Sens really need bottom six guys who can actually produce points and contribute defensively. Because his name is on. Oh God, Quinn, you're getting banned from the stream for that one. Um, okay, now, so aside from Engvall, the next guy I wanted to talk about was Nick Bukestad. Now, Bukestad was traded from the Coyotes to the Oilers. I really liked that move for the Oilers. I was actually hoping, because there was chatter about the Sens looking to get a depth forward at the deadline, a depth center, I was hoping that Bukestad would actually be their target. Obviously, as you all know, the Sens ended up going out and getting Patrick Brown. Oilers got Bukestad. Now, Bukestad, um, he did a lot better, obviously, this season than in the past, and I think he credited it to Arizona giving him more of a chance, like Andre Tourney playing him more in Arizona and letting him kind of thrive there. Good defensive impacts, not necessarily a PK guy, but he lays the body. You could throw him on your second line power play as like a net front presence. He does contribute occasionally at 5-on-5 offense. So that's a guy who would be nice to plug and play in the lineup in a third or fourth line role, and I'd be happy with that. He's also physical, which a lot of people know. DJ Smith likes his players to be physical. So Bukestad's another one. Another guy who I think might not be as likely, but as a third line player for the Sens, bringing back Vladislav Nemesnikov. He was a defensive saint last year, which is almost surprising to me. Like, he was fine in Ottawa, but he was really good defensively last year, and he was able to produce a lot of points like right in front of the net too. So I like a guy like this. You can put him on your penalty kill. He probably wouldn't be much of a power play guy, but I mean, you could probably put him on your second power play if Ottawa somehow, doesn't have someone to fill that spot. But yeah, Vladislav Nemesnikov, I think he's a guy you could bring back, and I'll bring up his points here for people to see. So he had 25 points, 77 games last year, and that was playing with the Tampa Bay Lightning, Winnipeg Jets. He split time between both of those. He played much better once he got to Winnipeg, and I'm assuming that's because his time on ice increased, so he got a better chance to showcase himself and produce a little more and all that. So he's also not afraid to throw the body around, so that's good to have too. And he's a guy that Pierre Dorion and the Sens are familiar with, even though I know he didn't play on Ottawa since 2020. It's still a guy who could come in and I think help your lineup. So Nemesnikov's another guy on my list who I think is worth looking at. Now, the next player I wanted to talk about, Ronta just signed to stay in Carolina. Okay, thanks, Drift. That's fine, though, because scratch him off my list. I still got 3 others here, so that's all right. Thanks for that update, though. I'll refresh my cap friendly. Oh, yeah, and Jesper Fast is staying as well. Oh, and it looks like Fantilli has officially signed his ELC. Agency 6 minutes. Okay, I have 3. Well, I already talked about Yamamoto. Okay, I have 2 more players to talk about. The next is Christian Fischer. Christian Fischer, as we know, Arizona did not qualify him. He's now walking to free agency. He's a guy, again, you can have on your penalty kill. He's a bit better than league average defensively. And yeah, Fast, I know he got extended, so that I was going to bring him up. If I had done, sorry, if he had not been signed by this stream, I would have brought him up as an option, but obviously he was extended. Christian Fischer, he's 25. He fits in with the core. Obviously, he played with Jacob Chikrin in Arizona, so the Sens would be able to be like, hey, Chikrin, what do you think of this guy? If they don't have their other sources already, which I don't know. I don't work in a front office. Excuse me, a front office. I don't know what sources people have, but yeah, he can chip in offensively too. So he's a guy who I don't think would cost too much. Really helps out your bottom 6. The last player I want to bring up, and he's one that actually I can't take credit for thinking of. It was actually my co-host who couldn't join me this morning, but other Matt, he is the one who brought up this player, and that would be Axel Johnson Fialbi. Now, he's an interesting case. He's a very defensively responsible player. I think Winnipeg had the rights to him, and they decided not to sign him. Um, and apparently Winnipeg. Oh, did I? Is it not? Oh God. Okay. Axel. There we go. Anyway, yeah, so he didn't have a lot of points. I think this guy would be purely like if you're going for like a fourth line winger, I think that you can go for Fialbi and he would be a guy who could put on the fourth line with Kastelik and someone else maybe you find on the right wing. T minus 5 minutes. Yeah, we're getting down to the wire, and then I'm going to take a drink and I'm going to ask for the people watching to chime in with any players you want me to look at now that I've gone through my list of potential top six, bottom six, and goaltenders. The other reason why I didn't go through any goalies is because now with Brandstrom and Jacob Bernard-Docker both being extended by the Ottawa Senators, I didn't think it was necessary to go over defensive options because to me, I think now their top six is set. If they go for a guy like Luke Shen or something for the bottom pairing, then fine. I just haven't brought up those players here because I don't think a defenseman will be top of mind for the Sens. I'm worried about players who don't draw many penalties. The Sens live and die on the penalty plays. I think we need players who draw. Yeah, that's fair, Quinn. That's a good point. I will say that I think bringing in better bottom six players will help Ottawa's 5-on-5 play a lot. I think we saw that when Ottawa's top line wasn't on the ice, and to a degree, like I know DeBrincat and Batherson didn't have great plus minuses this year, and I know some people point to that quite a bit. But when those lines weren't on the ice, it was very unlikely Ottawa was going to score. Like they used their third and fourth lines predominantly as shutdown lines, and I think a lot of the players that were on those shutdown lines were not shutdown players. They were just called that. So I think just improving their 5-on-5 defense in the bottom six will drastically help. Plus, bringing in a goaltender like Varlamov or Frederick Anderson, I think will be helpful as well. So it looks like free agency's opening up very shortly. A few minutes to go here. We need a player who's good at shithousery. Well, I did bring up Garnet Hathaway. I think he's kind of one of the players that fits that mold that is shithousery, if you will. Um, yeah, so it looks like Bertuzzi's expected to sign elsewhere. Just coming out from David Pagnota, he says that Boston's not circling back on Tyler Bertuzzi. So looks like he is officially going to be a free agent. It also looks like Blake Wheeler is set to sign with the New York Rangers. So, all right. I'm just trying to see if anything else has popped up here on the radar. So it looks like Seattle, Carolina, and Pittsburgh are all teams interested in Erik Karlsson. Apparently, Leafs are interested, but not a front runner. Jake Allen, Dan Vladar, Logan Thompson, and Linus Allmark have been thrown around as goaltenders who could be traded per Sarah Valley. So that's interesting. You think Garnet Hathaway's a good fit for the Sens? Yeah, I do too, honestly. I would not be shocked for the Sens to pursue him, but then again, I think that he would probably be a guy who signs somewhere in the U.S., but Blake Wheeler is Patrick Kane light. Yeah, my guess is that the Rangers, they know that they have limited amount of cap space, and so for them, they just want to sign a player who can come in at cheaper than Kane. And apparently, talks between Washington and Montreal around Edmondson. Oof. Well, I Montreal's gonna rob Washington with that one. Edmondson's not a great defenseman. If anybody wants a comparison to just know how bad Edmondson was last season, his analytics were worse than one Nikita Zaitsev. um, Apparently, the Rangers also have made it known that they're committed to keeping Lafreniere. So I know some Sens fans were wanting to trade for Lafreniere. That guy, he is not on the table. What else? Vladar for who says no. I mean, I'm not high on him, so I would say no. But I'm not the Ottawa Senators, so I don't know. I'm waiting. Yeah, Joel Edmondson has officially been traded to Washington. Draft picks going to Montreal. Interesting. Um, that is not a good trade for Washington. God, Montreal was terrible all around. Yeah, but like, I'll show you Edmondson. Edmondson was big bad. Um, Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He doesn't do anything offensively, and he's just a like friggin' black hole on the PK and on the defense side of things. Hydrate ASAP. Okay. Oh my God. Oh man. There we go. Love the Rangers for adding more players to Barry, Laugh, and Kako. I know they're stupid. Kako is a player who the Sens should have been. Well, I mean, I don't know if he's available. I would be all over trading for Kako, Capo Kako. Holy crap! I'm thinking Kakin the goalie. Capo Kako, definitely a guy who I would be interested in if I'm the Ottawa Senators and he's available. But free agency is opening up here, so I want to see if any trades. I mean, I just saw the Joel Edmondson to Washington thing, which is hilarious. Good for Montreal though. Hey, they get some draft picks for whatever draft picks for a guy who can't play defense. So good on them. I want to see if anything new comes in. Okay. Okay, so David Pagnotta was saying that Mayfield is going back to the New York Islanders. Bastian's going back to the Jersey Devils. Soucy's to Canucks. Nieto and Brown to the Oilers, apparently. Yeah, so I'm just trying to see if there's anything else reported here. If anyone wants to know anything about different players, like I can bring up, I have the Hockey Viz analytics charts open. So it looks like Joel Edmondson has been traded for a third round pick and a seventh round pick. So the Habs get a third and a seventh for Joel Edmondson. Wow. Washington, what is you doing, baby? Okay, that is a trade that happened. Um, yeah, I did a complete 180. Is now going to Pittsburgh. Wait, what? Are you sure? Oh yeah, he goes to Pittsburgh for 2 years. Long story, LOL, according to Dragger. All right, interesting. Um, okay, good for Pittsburgh. I think Nieto is one of those guys who is kind of underrated defensively. Oh yeah, he's okay to yeah. So like, yeah, I think that's a good sign. That's a very Pittsburgh signing. So, um, come on, give me signings, Twitter. Oh, the Preds are signing Luke Shen, 3 years, 2.75 mil. Uh, hey, good for Luke Shen. He really showed that he's a good defenseman, good depth defenseman. Um, let's see what else comes into play here. Solars to Florida. Yeah, I heard that was coming down the wire. Bachquist isn't returning to Devils. Yeah, I honestly don't know much about because there's two. There's the frig. Of course, I mistype it. There's the one who plays on Columbus, and then Jesper's the one who played for the Devils. Correct? Am I wrong or am I right? Yeah, Luke Shen. Yeah, he just got signed by the Preds. I saw Frank Saravalli tweet that out. Um, just waiting to see if anything else pops up on that front. Um, like I said in chat, if there's anybody you want me to pull up stats for anything, Hockey Viz charts, let me know. Adam is on Clubs. Yeah, Jasper's. Okay, thank you, Bex. Alex Kilhorn. Apparently, Bolts want to keep him, but Devils are among the team who have had interest. However, I guess Devils acquiring Toffoli might take them out of the hunt on Killorn. Killorn's another player, actually, who I think would be really solid on the Ottawa Senators, but I don't know how much he's asking for. And if I could type, um, my one problem with Alex Killorn is He's 33. So what's that contract going to look like if he gets a multi-year contract? With Claude Giroux, I think Claude Giroux it made sense because he's a guy who he has a record of putting up a lot of points, whereas Killorn he had like a career year points wise. Like he doesn't normally get 60 points, and I think was it the first time in his career? Yeah, it was the first time in his career he hit over 60 points, and to me that's an outlier. Like I know he hit 59 the year before. He does play in a lot of games. He doesn't miss a lot of time, which is good. And he has a lot of playoff experience, which is another good quality about him. I just worry about how much that contract's going to come in at for Alex Killorn. So I'm pausing there for like I don't know. I'm just trying to see if any other signings have come in. Montreal's retaining 50% on Edmondson, apparently. Let's see. Just trying to see if anybody else has come on the radar since I've been talking. I can also refresh Cap Friendly here, see if anybody pops up. Hunter Shepard. Okay, so it looks like Washington signed Hunter Shepard. Doesn't look like any other signings have been made like official yet, so we'll wait on that. Um, Also, I wanted to bring up Ottawa's cap situation here. So looks like Ottawa's got about 14 million in cap space, which is great. The only RFA they need to sign is Shane Pinto. So if Alex DeBrincat's at the door, that leaves them enough money to fill in a couple depth positions, acquire another goalie, and that'll help them. And also next summer, I know people were a bit worried about Jake Sanderson's next contract, but um, Ottawa is shedding a lot of money next year. They're going to be shedding about $5 million in cap hit from Matt Murray, Bobby Ryan, Colin White, Michael Del Zotto coming off the books. I know Colin White has some years to him, but it's pretty marginal difference, so I'm not too worried there. Um, but yeah, so that'll help when they want to re-sign Jake Sanderson next year. So I think Ottawa's in a good position here to really fix their depth, help their goaltending out. I'm looking forward to that. Have the Wild re-signed Gus? I don't think they've re-signed him yet, but he's an RFA, so I don't think there's pressure there. Um, okay, apparently Pacioretty has 10 teams interested. Pacioretty's actually another player who I think would really help Ottawa's top line, but his injuries to me are worrying. Um, Oh, actually, here, sorry, let me bring up Pacioretty. So I'll bring up his. So he only played, I think, in 5 games last season, but had 3 goals. Yeah, because I was looking at him the other day with curiosity. Before that, with Vegas, he had 37 points in 39 games, and the season beforehand, 51 and 48. Like he is still a very productive forward, even though he's in his later years. It's just injuries, right? That Achilles injury was a major injury for him. So it's like, can he still be as productive coming back from that? Now, I believe Pacioretty is also kind of a analytics darling, if you will. As you can see, he's a threat basically anywhere in the offensive zone, and he can also hold his own defensively. And both on the PK and power play, he can chip in on either one, which is nice as well for him. So that's good. But and yeah, miss, that's the issue. Like he just hasn't been healthy the last few years, and that's the biggest worry. So it makes me wonder if his contract will come in pretty low. Excuse me, to be determined on that. It looks like Connor Brown is signing with the Oilers. I see Drift. You said that there. Pagnota said that was likely going to be the case like 5 minutes ago or something, and it looks like that is indeed the case. That makes sense. I think Connor Brown will help him out. I assume the contract will be cheap because Connor Brown missed most of this past season. Montreal retaining half on Edmondson. Yeah, I did see that. Just waiting to see if anything else comes through here. Yeah, Ryan Reeves is signing in Toronto for 3 years times 1.35 mil. I know Mark Mathot was trying to give grief to people for making fun of that signing, but I'm sorry, Mark Mathot. You're signing, like, sure, he helps the locker room, but You're signing that guy for 3 years. He's already 36. Like, I just don't like it. Um, Interesting. So the Canes are saying apparently have been saying they'd sign or trade Pesci by today, but nothing on that front yet. Um, yeah, Drift, we did talk about that trade, but thanks for the reminder in case. Um, Oilers signing Lane Pedersen. Just trying to stay up to date here on any new signings. Yeah, so Luke Shen's now in here. Anderson Dolan goes to the Kings. Maltsev, um, just UFA contracts. Nothing too big there. Um, Trying to see what else is coming up here. O'Reilly's going to Nash. 4 times 4.5. Whew. Yeah, I just see Friedman just tweeted that. Damn, dude. Ryan O'Reilly getting paid 4.5. Okay. I mean, sure. Ryan O'Reilly. I should check him actually. I don't think I've looked at his. Thank God he's at. Yeah, honestly, no. Good that the Toronto Maple Leafs didn't get him back, to be honest. But yeah, you can see. Wasn't a great PK player, but basically contributed anywhere else for the team. So that'll be good for Nashville. Interesting though that they want to kind of like almost rebuild their team, but then they sign Ryan O'Reilly, who's in his early 30s, and they bought out Matt Duchene, who's also in their early 30s. I don't know. Nashville is an enigma this year with Barry Trotz behind the helm, so I don't know what to make of that. I'm just trying to see. Man, I want Ottawa to make even once, even if Ottawa signs like friggin' Joe Blow off the side of the street, just like, hey, dude, we need you as like a 700th string goalie. I could talk about that, but the only signings we got for the Sens are the re-signings of both Bernard Docker and Eric Brandstrom. So doing a culture, no, I know they're doing a culture reset, but their moves have kind of shown that they're like almost looking to rebuild. And signing Ryan O'Reilly is a little bit peculiar to me, but hey, whatever. Maybe Nashville wants to have some sort of semblance of wanting to win this coming year. Um, they're not going to do anything until they trade Cat, I'm pretty sure. I don't think that's true because I think that like they can sign players now. They have the cap space. They don't like I think actually the Alex DeBrincat trade will go down today. Like it just makes sense. So I don't think that's too worrying for me. Brandy, yeah. Joe, I do. We do stand the Eric Brandstrom for sure there, Timon. Joey and Deshane were more party style guys. No, I think Shen's a great signing. O'Reilly is a good signing as well. But I mean, like, let's not kid ourselves. Like Ryan O'Reilly, also got a DUI and like drove into a Tim Hortons while under the influence. So it's not like he's a saint. So like culture reset, sure, but I don't know if replacing Matt Duchene for Ryan O'Reilly is like maybe he's not a party guy, but he doesn't have like the best track record. Looks like Carolina's trying to re-sign Anderson. Well, I mean it makes sense. He's a good goalie when healthy, so a lot of people are complaining that their Twitter isn't aren't working, but I haven't seen that for myself yet. So JVR to the Bruins, 1 year, 1 mil. That's a good signing, actually. I know there's a lot of hate for JVR when at the trade deadline I suggested that JVR might be a nice depth player for the Ottawa Senators to get, and people are like, "Oh, he's soft and this and that," and whatever. Fair enough, I guess. But I thought he would have been a decent trade deadline acquisition, and I think 1 year, 1 mil will be good value for the Bruins. Short King Brandstrom. Yes, we do stand our Short King Brandstrom. Okay, so it looks like that Ryan Reeves' contract is officially in cap friendly at that 3 years, 1.35 mil. I wonder. So no signing bonuses. Um, man, that is a contract. I guess we'll see how that one ages, but I don't know about that one. All right, let's see. Anything else popping up here? All right. Um, Nothing else I see popping up right now. If you guys see anything, feel free to throw it at me. Um, you do need to be logged into. Oh yeah, I'm logged in, baby. I got it up here. You just can't see it because I'm not sharing it. They can trade JVR at the deadline of the team. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I still think Boston will be a good team. I don't think they'll be as stacked as they were this year. I really think they put all their chips in to win the cup, and to get knocked out in the first round is that's rough. But Connor Sheary's going to Tampa. Of course, Tampa would friggin' get Connor Sheary. Those bums. Connor Sheary, for those of you who don't know, he was one of the guys who I thought that the Sens might be in on. His defensive metrics weren't great this year, but he was a guy who played on the Pittsburgh Penguins when Ryan Bonus was the director of professional scouting. So to me, it's like seemed to be like a guy who the Sens might pursue for a depth option, maybe third or fourth line. But Tampa goes out, and it looks like getting him Caligula or Cagula or whatever back to Edmonton. K Blues to be kind of yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens here. Yeah, Connor Sheard to Tampa. Just hoping to see if anybody else new pops up here that I haven't seen. Um, Interesting. Apparently, been somewhat quiet day leading up to today for Jason Zucker. So interesting. Ca Calula, is that it? Also, all the waiver buyouts cleared. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, why would you pick up a guy like, oops, like Blake Wheeler, for example? I'm pretty sure wasn't he put on waivers for buyout and he was making like 8 mil. So that's not a guy you pick up on waivers. You just wait till he becomes a free agent and then you sign him. So it looks like Florida also signed Stenland, and then yeah, JVR is in there on the Boston Bruins. We'll see who else comes in here. Uh, just seeing what the reactions are to some of these signings here. Let's see, anything new? Interesting. Apparently, there's some trade chatter picking up involving Adam Henrique for the Anaheim Ducks on the final year of his contract, and he has a 10-team no trade list. So that is interesting. Let's take a look at Henrique here. I think last year too. Um, did he have a good season? He had a decent season for a depth player. Um, 38 points, 62 games. I think it's his contract though. Like Henrique, I thought his contract was like what 5.5 mil or something. Oh, almost 6 mil. Yeah. So he doesn't have a great contract, but it is the final year of his contract. So maybe Anaheim looks to do some retention on that to move him out. Um, but yeah, I mean he is a guy. I don't know if I would want the Sens trading for him. If Henrique is coming back to Ottawa in a DeBrincat trade, then Ottawa better be getting like a draft pick or something else. Varlamov re-signing with New York. Fuck, you didn't hear me say that, but he's a guy who I really wanted to see return, or not return. Sorry, he's a guy I wanted to see the Sens pursue, for sure. Um, that's too bad, but weeks breaking that news. Trying to see who else is coming up on the timeline today. Um, Not seeing anything very new coming out. Expected that. You know, even if it's expected, my hopium was high. Looks like the Devils have signed Michael McLeod. I believe they didn't qualify him, so they must have just not qualified him and just given him a new contract, so sure, whatever. I would really not want Adam Henrique, not gonna lie. Like, not an awful player, but it's just I don't think that's what the Sens need, and I just think there's too much money on the books there, even if it's 1 year with retention. Like, if they were retaining 50%, like that's still what 2.7, no 2 point like 85 or something like that. That would be better, but I don't know if they would retain full 50. Although Montreal just did it with Edmondson, so what do I know? Let's see, anything else? Bastion gets signed by the Devils. That's made official. Uh-oh. Oh no. Is my Twitter having issues? Okay, no, we're good. We're back. We're back. Twitter chose a hell of a time to break, but that's okay. We're back. All right. Come on, give me more signings. Show me the money. Did anybody remember that app that was called like, was it Tradebreaker or Icebreaker or something? No, it may have been Tradebreaker. I don't know. It was like this app that compiled all of like the top insiders and analysts' tweets and would automatically push them to an app. I think that thing died, but that was pretty helpful back when it was, regularly tended to. Not hockey related, but Damian Lillard finally requests trade. I barely know anything about basketball, so sure. Sure. Sorry, Drift. Let's see. Is Twitter gonna be trash today? So the Sens are still going to be looking at a goalie. So it looks like Varlamov is signing for 2 years with the Islanders. I'm not sure how much money is on the books, though. Let's see what else is going on here. So, I mean, according to Garriock, the Sens are looking for a goalie to have a tandem with Forsberg. They're looking for scoring depth for third and fourth line and are trying to trade DeBrincat. So, I mean, Ottawa's biggest free agency move today might be trading DeBrincat, but I do hope that they bring in some scoring, or not even scoring, but just like third, fourth line depth that can really contribute in some way. Oh God, I have people sharing tweets with me, so um, okay, nothing crazy, nothing crazy yet. Apparently, the Sens are one of the teams that is pursuing Jonas Corposalo, which I think makes sense. It sounds about right. Not sure when we'll hear about that. Um, um, just seeing anything else is popping up here, but looking fairly quiet. I mean, I think Ottawa's probably gonna, as soon as they push for a goalie, I think the other signings for depth forwards will come. I think that goaltender is their first need, having a tandem with Forsberg. I think after that, then the other dominoes will start to fall in terms of what Ottawa wants to add to their lineup. To me, they must see that there's a lot of depth players in this class of free agents, and so I don't think they're in as much of a rush to add or like go out there and get the first depth player. I think their focus is probably on going and trying to sign a goaltender, and then once that's done, once they get, I don't know, it looks like Gary saying Corpusalo is a guy that the Sens are making a push for. So his mustache game is elite. All right, Quinn, I'll try here. Let's find a picture of well, I think Corpusalo. I can. Is it his pic? Let's see if maybe that's not the best photo. Here, let me see. Corpusalo mustache. We gotta see this bad boy. Oh, that's not news. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That is definitely a solid mustache here. Look at that. Look at that bad boy. That thing's got some flair to it. Dude definitely waxes that. Holy. What else? You got any other good photos of it? See, this one, not as big of a fan. He's got to wax that out, you know? Oh, man. All right, let's see if anything else has come down the pipeline here. Wheeler to New York. Yeah, I saw that one. That was expected to happen, but it looks like they're making it official now at 1 year for Blake Wheeler with the Rangers. It looks like Alex Belzile, former Montreal Canadien, is signing with the Rangers. So that's another guy who's off the board, but not anyone who's very significant. So nothing too exciting there. I see people demanding that Pierre Dorion do something. I mean, there's still a lot of players. So like here, I'll let me bring up the UFAs here for everybody to see. So, like as you can see, I know Blake Wheeler's off the board now. Tarasenko's on there. Not that I'm suggesting Ottawa will sign him, but just gonna list off some of the more well known names. You know, you got Klingberg, um, Dumba. We all knew Pierre Dorion was interested in Dumba. What else? I think Jason Zucker is honestly would be a good fit for the Sens. I would be pretty happy, depending on contract term and value. Wouldn't be too upset about that. I don't want Josh Bailey. If anybody, okay, Josh Bailey is a defensive nightmare, and I just want people to see this travesty that Josh Bailey presents. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that defensive impact. You do not want a guy who gives up so much offense against that it's like a black hole but red in his defensive chart. That is not what you want on your roster. So yeah, cutting that one out. All right, negative on that one. Matt shut no Dumba. No, I'm just trolling. Don't worry. Running theory is that he purposely bagged it last season. Wait, who? Bailey or someone else? Wheeler. I don't know. You tell me. I'm listening. I'm all ears. Let's see what else comes down the pipeline here. Bruins are adding Lucic. Interesting. Ethan Bearville, he won't be ready for the start of the season, but good. Yeah, okay. So I think Bear, like, I don't know. Some people like talk crap about Bear because he's moved around a few teams. Sure, but he's a depth defenseman. That happens with depth defensemen. Like they're defensemen. Like it just they move around teams. It's not because he's a bad defenseman. He does have good analytics, but I also just don't think it's necessary. Like maybe if like cheap and you want a seventh defenseman who's reliable, sure. I think Ottawa's like fine right now. Tampa Bay signs Andre Waugh 2 years. Okay. Free beers for life. Just trying to see what else. Trying to see if anything new's popping up here, but I all I saw is that the Bruins are likely adding Lucic, which would be hilarious, but also makes sense because he returns to the one team he actually played well for. Well, you know what? He had one good season for LA, so maybe I shouldn't talk too much crap, but Blake Wheeler gets 800K base salary in New York with 300K in potential bonuses. Missed, I guess I read your mind because that's what the deal is. 800K base salary, 300K signing, potential signing bonuses. Or sorry, potential bonuses, not performance bonuses, not signing bonus. I got. Just responding to a Locked On Sens podcast tweet. One of the boys there was at the Red Blacks game last night, same as me, and I wasn't able to meet up with them, but we chit chatted a little bit. Still waiting for more deals to come in here. So it looks like Blackwood's contract with the Sharks is actually 2 years, 2.35 million total. Oh no, annual. What? He's getting 2.35 annual? That seems okay. Jonathan Quick's deal with the Rangers is 1 year, 825K plus performance bonuses. Excuse me. Let me get some water. Just trying to see anything new is coming down the wire here. And like I said, anybody in chat, you feel free to throw out names and players you're interested in. I don't mind throwing their stats on screen here. I've got Hockey Viz up, so if you want to see like their isolated impacts, I can bring that up as well. Just trying to see. I want some Sens news to come down the wire before I head out today. Sweetheart deals the Rangers get is insane. Yeah, I mean, but are they gonna win games? Are they gonna? Well, sorry, I shouldn't say games. Are they gonna win a playoff round? I feel like losing to New Jersey hurts. Actually, if they had beat New Jersey, Ottawa would have gotten one of their 7th round picks upgraded to a 6th round pick. Just so you know. Still waiting for some new signings to come up. Let's see. Not seeing anything else pop up. Do. Yeah, I'm not seeing. Yeah, not seeing too much else coming down the pipeline at the moment. Sorry. Now that you asked for Sens news, it's not going to come. I mean, was it going to come anyway? uh, um, come on, give me some news. Give me some Sens signing friggin'. Well, I was gonna say anyone. I don't want that. Don't give me anyone. I'm not seeing anything else. Oh, it looks like Jesper Fass. I missed this earlier. His 2 year extension with the Canes was 2.4 million a year. So I think that was probably a bit more than I would have liked for Ottawa to spend. So good for Fast. I think that's probably an okay contract. Um, can chip in offensively. He's okay defensively, so that's all fine. If anybody sees any updated news, feel free to post it in chat. I'm refreshing my feeds to see what's going on. Hmm. Man, I really want the Sens to just sign the best player ever and then win the Stanley Cup, you know? Is that too much to ask for? I like that Pierre LeBrun is confirming O'Reilly to Nashville, even though, like, everyone knew that, but thanks, Pierre LeBrun. Michael Bunting is generating significant interest. Oh, God. Somebody's going to overpay Michael Bunting, aren't they? We just know it's going to happen. I like your vibes here. Keep it going. Thanks, Bex. I'm running out of juice because like there's nothing happening here. I want some excitement. I want some action. The Blackwood and Quick contracts are in cap friendly now. Blake Wheeler showed up there too. Oh, give me some news. Okay, Hurricanes are getting close on an extension with Frederick Anderson. 2 years, 3.5 mil. Damn, man, these goalies are going are going for pretty cheap actually. Like if Frederick Anderson's getting 3.5 mil, like Corpusalo is probably going to get under 3 mil. Like this could look good for Ottawa. I don't know. Hmm. Come on. Give me some Sens news. I'm not going to get it. I know people. I know. But I'm high on that hopium. Um, Not seeing many other new ones here at the moment. Goaltender panel says, what? Says what, Brad? Should send an offer sheet. Yeah. Okay. So Swayman, I agree with. If the Sens, which they won't, send an offer sheet to anyone, it should be to Swayman. Um, I don't think Boston would be able to match. Like, let me pull up. Where's the compensation thing? What's it called? NHL draft. God, I can't type. Draft pick compensation. Cause, oh God, why is this so zoomed out? What the hell? What's wrong with me? Offer sheet calculator. Oh, okay, so they do have it at cap friendly. I thought they did. I just didn't know where to find it. Okay, so hypothetically, let's say they offer Swayman like a deal that's like 2 million or something for 2 years. I don't know. I'm just throwing a number out there. Um, then they would only have to give up a third round pick, and I'm pretty sure Ottawa doesn't have their third round pick. I forgot that they didn't have next year's third. Okay, well they have a second if they offer him, more than that, like 3 or 4 years at 2.5 to 3 mil. They do have a second round pick that they could use because I guarantee Boston's going to want more than that. So for Swayman, if you were to trade for him versus especially as a divisional opponent. Um, Now the interesting thing is that Boston and Ottawa actually only play each other 3 times this year, and Ottawa and Montreal only played each other 3 times this year. Which, being that my partner is a Habs fan, that's a bit disappointing. But because her and I tend to try to go to both games between Montreal and Ottawa in town. But what can you do? I'm waiting for Twitter. Twitter's obviously, as many people here probably know, they're having issues today. So, bad time for free agency frenzy to take place. So Freddie Anderson confirmed staying in Carolina, 2 years, 3.4 mil. Let's see. Doesn't look like anything else is really going down right now. Yeah, 2 years, 3.5. Yep. Twitter is twittering all over the place in its effort to Twitter worse. Classic Twitter, yes. It has not been great today. That is very true. Oh boy. Well, I'll definitely stay on here until the first Sens signing, but like, I can't be here all day, baby. I got Canada Day stuff to do too, you know? I can't be waiting for big old Pierre Dorion and Ryan Bonus to make a deal here, you know? I got Canada Day festivities to go to, which to all of you who are Canadian, happy Canada Day. Hope you all get to spend some time with your friends and loved ones and have some drinks if you drink, or just have some good food if you eat, which I hope you do. Otherwise, you're probably not going to be long for this world. Oh yeah, I think I totally forgot. Cam Talbot signed for 1 year at 1 mil, and weren't the Sens offering him more than that, and he expected to get more on the open market? A little confused on that one, but anyway. Tyson Jost got 1 year too. Why Buffalo? Screw off, man. Although I think I pulled up. Jost is he's a decent depth player. He can improve a little bit, I believe, on the defensive side of the puck. Yeah, like he's not going to do much for you on special teams. He's like an average player at 5-on-5. But still he's not a bad player. Like I think he'll do okay. He'll get them some depth points. I think there's better depth players out there, but he's a guy. He is a guy who will help. Let's see. Let's see who else is coming up here. Looks like Matt Duchene is hoping to sign a deal by today, ideally. And there's about 10 teams interested. I think Matt Duchene's one of those guys that if he doesn't sign by like today or tomorrow, you know, he's going to start going downhill in the interest in him. Come on, let's see what else. Looks like the Tampa Bay Lightning are going to be making deals with Connor Sheary and Glendening. Glendening's the other guy. Tyson Yost gets 1 year, 2 mil in Buffalo. Sens got Korpisalo. Is that what the Sens just tweeted out? Did they get Corpy? It happened? All right, all right. So now we're Korpisalo stands. Here we go. Let me. Sorry, jeez, choking. All right, let me pour up. God. All right, Korpisalo, Ottawa Sens, Okay, I need to take a breather. God damn. The thing is, I have notifications turned on for Sens communications. There we go. All right, 5 year. Oh, whoa! What the fucking Jesus Christ, dude! Holy, who's handing out these contracts, baby? It happened. Tweet has been deleted. No. It's there. No. I just pulled it up, guys. It exists. So it looks like the Sens have signed him to a 5-year deal, 4 million AAV. So he'll get 4 million 23-24, 5 million in 24-25, 4.5 million in 25-26, 3.5 million in 26-27, and 3 million in 27-28. Has been an yeah, no, it's just Twitter being Twitter, guys. So Ottawa signs Jonas Corpusalo. He is now a member of your Ottawa Senators. I will make sure to put out a tweet on that. I was not expecting that much money for Corpusalo, but okay. So Ottawa thinks Corpusalo is going to be the 1A. It looks like going forward. I'm gonna just put a tweet out about this. I mean, it's less money than Matt Murray, so I can't complain too much. All right, putting out my standard tweet here about Corpusalo. All right, let's see. So now I think now that the goalie's out of the way, I think the Ottawa Senators will maybe look for a depth piece. Um, so there we go. Ottawa gets their goaltending tandem kind of solidified now by adding Corpusalo and and hopefully Forsberg is ready to go. But you know what? Now that Corpusalo is an Ottawa center, I'm gonna hype him up. You know, no more. He's on my list. No, Corpusalo is the best goaltender in the world. Ottawa Senators back to back 500 times Stanley Cup champions incoming starting next season. Corpusalo will live to be 550 years old and win every Stanley Cup with the Sens until he dies. 914 save percentage. Nah, man, this guy's 900,000 save percentage. He's so good. There's your big Sens news. Mustache per 60 has gone through the roof. Did they measure those analytics? Figured out why it might have gone deleted. They said 20 million AAV in the tweet. Dude, let's go. 20 mil AAV. That's friggin' hilarious. It looks like they updated the tweet though, because when I went to check it, it seems to be fine now. It's got the proper 5-year 4 mil AAV. You know, he's 29 years old, so I think that's fine. He's kind of around that age that you bring a guy like that in, and you're not worried about him falling off a cliff. I know Matt Murray was younger, but Matt Murray had a lot of injury woes. This is a guy who comes in. He played a total of 39 games last season. It was the most in his career in a single season, but hey, he stood out. He had a 911 save percentage on Columbus, which was an absolute dumpster fire of a team. And then he had a great 921 save percentage on the LA Kings. Now, my concern is can Ottawa's defensive core stay healthy enough to make sure that Corpusalo is not getting shelled? Because that'll obviously be a big concern. So, need to make sure that Corpusalo is protected, and that starts with making sure your defensive core is healthy and playing the best defense that they're capable of. Aside from that, I think signing some defensively responsible depth forwards on your third and fourth line, that's definitely something that needs to happen too. So let's kind of see if the Sens make any other moves. All said about Corpusalo earlier and everything, I do think it's a good move for the Ottawa Senators, and happy that they did that. And we'll see what happens this coming year. But this is a guy who put up reasonable results playing for the Jackets, and like they were trash. And then for LA, he goes, and you can see as soon as he gets put on a better team, his stats improve. So I think it's just you just got to hope for the best for him. He just turned 29, so he'll be 34 when this ends. Eric Johnson, 3.25 mil for a year in Buffalo. God, Buffalo, what are you doing now? You're allowed to go barbecue or whatever Canadians do. Excuse you. Barbecue is the only thing Canadians do in the summer. All right, and watch fireworks and whatever else. Now Twitter's like, yeah, now that the Sens news comes down the pipeline, go to hell. Kyle Burrows, 3 years, 1.1. Guda's looking at Anaheim. Sure, I guess. Gudis is the one right-hand defenseman who, if the Sens went for, I'd be pretty happy with that. Instead of like, I like JBD, but I think if you were gonna put Gudis with Brandstrom, I like that. But you know, tis what it is. Okay, so Twitter is dying on me, but let's throw it over to Cap Friendly here, see what they've got on the list. So yeah, Korpisalo gets added to the Ottawa Senators. Let's pull up his page here. So no signing bonuses. All you can see, all the base salaries are here. I can zoom it in a little bit so you can see that better. 5 years. There it is. What was he being paid before? He's being paid 2.8. So I guess he was looking for a raise. That's a modest raise. I think that's fine. 4 million AAV for 3 years in Anaheim. Okay, so yeah, that's probably more than I would have felt comfortable with the Sens paying on for Gudas. So yeah, Ottawa gets their guy. They get the goaltender they're looking for. Now they can start looking for that depth. Now I am going to go to Ottawa's cap friendly page. So now they're sitting at around 10 mil in cap space. So I think DeBrincat's going to be shipped out soon, is my guess. And maybe that's why Ottawa hasn't signed any depth players yet. Maybe they're expecting to get a good depth player, good third liner back for Alex DeBrincat when they deal him. Guess we'll see whenever that goes down. But yeah, their defensive core is locked up. They've got their guys. I think that they could probably add like a minor, like some sort of depth defenseman. I can pull up my free agency list, see who's. I'll refresh because some of the guys here are going to be off the list. But Klingberg, I'm wary of. He's really not good defensively, so I'd kind of avoid that. Matt Dumba as a seventh defenseman, I think would be fine, but I think he's going to go somewhere where he hopes to play more minutes. Let's see. Oh, you know who actually would be a good ad? I think they're not going to cost a lot too. Let's where are they on here? I might have to look them up separately because they might not even be on. Here we go. Connor Clifton, baby. Right-handed defenseman. He's 28. He's a guy who he had 23 points for the Bruins last year in the regular season, but he's also a very defensively sound guy. Reimer to Detroit. Didn't he play on Detroit at one point? Anyway, yeah, Connor Clifton. So he's a guy who can play on your PK and defensively and be a responsible player. So a guy like that, I would be fine with the Sens signing on the cheap, bringing in him instead of Travis Hamonic as a seventh defenseman. I think would be a good bet. So yeah, we'll have to see on that front what they decide to do. I think Twitter has finally given up on me, but that's okay. We got our Sens news. That's the biggest thing. I can also pull up the Reddit, NHL's their r/hockey's free agency thread and see what is going on there. I do also want to see what people are saying about the Korpisalo signing, but let's go to r/hockey and let's go to their mega thread. Twitter is working on browser for me, just not the app. I have it on the browser on my PC, but it's still having a day, so not sure what's going on, but that's okay. Yeah, so Gudis. I'm just seeing Tyler Pitlick signed with the New York Rangers. So Pitlick is with the Rangers now. But yeah, Ottawa. Let's talk about the Korpisalo deal. So like, I want to hear your thoughts and comments. Morgan Geekie to Boston. All right, good for Geekie. I'm not super high on Geekie, but that seems like a very Boston-esque player. So good for them, I guess. So, what are your thoughts on the Corpusalo signing? Um, are you guys pumped? You're a little worried. I know the term is long, so some people are freaked out, but uh, Cat to the Ducks again. Hey, if Cat goes to the Ducks, I hope Troy Terry's coming back. If the Sens get Troy Terry, that's a win in my books. But yeah, um, let's see if the Twitter on the browser is still not working for me. I wonder if it's working on my I'll check the app and see if the app's let's see if the app's working here for me. Let's see. It seems like the app's actually working for me, but the browser isn't. That's a weird. Um, I wonder if my tweet even went through then. Let's see here. Oh yeah, it did. Okay, cool. I was just making sure because browser that bad boy's not working. But um, yeah, it says nothing imminent. Nothing imminent, but it does seem like the Anaheim Ducks are very interested in Alex DeBrincat. And to me, that looks good. I think that Anaheim has some pieces that you could definitely make a trade with. If you get the better Corby, huge. You get the worst Corby, not good. Sens essentially swap goalies with LA. Yeah, and I'll take Corpusalo over Cam Talbot any day. On the fence depends entirely on which version of Corp we get. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And that's the thing. That's why I was, making kind of a joke that, if you get the 2022-23 Corpusalo, you're thrilled. If he can continue playing at the level he was playing, then yeah, that's hands down a great signing. The Ottawa Senators should be super happy with that. Um, no question about it. And yeah, I don't have anything else to add there. I just excuse me. I think that Corpusalo, obviously, it was a contract year, so that's something to consider. Um, it's just the playoffs, but I'll be honest with you, they were playing the Edmonton Oilers in the playoffs. It's kind of hard to stop guys like Draisaitl, McDavid, and I get it. You're like, well, like they're gonna need to stop high caliber players like that in the NHL, like on a regular basis. I totally agree. I just don't think it's the end of the world. Um, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna go in this with high hopes and some optimism and positivity because there's been a lot of frustration about goalies with the Ottawa Senators. They finally gone out and maybe Corpusalo doesn't have the most amazing track record. I totally understand, but I think that he's a guy who was in Columbus his whole career. He goes to LA, he plays with a team who's really a good team, and he puts up good results, and he wasn't a slouch. Like, he played quite well. So Ottawa sees that, and they're like, all right, well, listen, out of all the goalies on the market, all of them are like 30 plus. And the last 30 plus goalie that they brought in didn't work for them. Talbot was a shit show for lack of a better term. So they go in, they're like, all right, well, the youngest goalie who just had a great season is Corpusalo. So focus their attention there. They get their guy. I think he comes into a roster. I think the team will be pumped about this, first of all. That's the other thing we have to consider. If with Cam Talbot, I think the team didn't know who they were going to get. He was fine at times, other times he was abysmal. So now you get a guy who comes in, and I think the Sens will have a lot more confidence, like the players, with Corpusalo or Forsberg in it than they had with Talbot. So that helps immediately. Um, on top of that, like this is a guy who, from what I know, has not dealt with a lot of injuries. So that's important as well. But yeah, I don't know. I'm fine with it. I'm not like over the moon thrilled, but I'm fine with it. Like I'm happy. I think he'll come in, he'll help the Sens out, and I think really the Sens were looking at their options on the market, and this is the best they had. Jeremy Swayman is I guess the Sens are not shooting him, but hey, they give up no assets to get Korpisalo, and hopefully, hopefully this is the end of Ottawa's goaltending woes. Excited to go to the home opener now. Welcome Korpisalo. My money is probably on him getting the opening day start. I don't think you sign a player to a contract like this and then give Anton Forsberg the start. And that's no shot at Anton Forsberg. I think they're just going to really make him, like, give him time to get back to full health. You have Sogard, so if you need a guy to fill in for Forsberg as a backup, Sogard, I think, is capable of that. And yeah. And there's no trade clause, no movement clauses on his contract, so that's that's good for the Sens if they ever need to flip him or whatever. There's no worries about that holding anything up. Um, I know some people are really dumping on this, but I don't think that's fair to the player. I think Corpusalo earned the contract, and anyway, what do we got else here in chat? Brown 1 year with Edmonton. Yeah, I did see you got it 1 year, so 775K base up to 3.25 in performance bonuses. Damn, man's getting paid. Uh, Lucic, 1 year deal with Boston, no money. Yeah, I did see that Boston had re-signed Lucic. I was waiting on the money, but that makes sense. Clifton, 3.35 mil AAV for 3 years. You got 3.35? Are you serious? Who the hell gave him that? I don't see it up yet. Who do you sign with? For Buffalo. They gave him 3.35 mil. Holy crap, dude. That's paying a lot more than I would have expected for Clifton. I thought Clifton would be like between 1 and 2 mil. Damn. 3.33. Oof. Just as a heads up, I will probably I'll say max like another 30 minutes on here, and then I gotta head out because I have some Canada Day festivities, but I'll be with you until about 1:30 here. And I see Riley Nash was just signed by the Rangers as well. They had Rick Nash, now they've got Riley Nash. Oh, sorry, 2 year deal. I was reading the structure as being one way. Interesting. All right. Let's see what else we can find here. Don't see any new deals coming down the pipeline just yet. Apparently, Drager said that Ryan O'Reilly had no issues with the money and term in Toronto, but he just wanted to look elsewhere. Interesting. Little spicy stuff going on behind the scenes or something. The browser version of Twitter is still struggling, but for some reason the app's not working. It's one way for year one, 2 way for year two on Nash deal. Cool. Um, my partner's dad texted me. Sens got a good goalie, decent goalie. All right. Oh yeah, I was gonna open up Twitter. Yeah, I saw Glenn Denning was going to Tampa. I didn't see the money yet. All right. I'm trying to see if anything else comes up. Come on. Come on, Twitter. Joel Hanley. I don't even know who Joel Hanley is, but good for him for getting another contract with the Stars. uh, there's always the like one or two players that I'm just like either I don't know them or it's like, oh, you're still in the league. Okay. And I guess that's one of them. Um, all right. Well, just trying to refresh from all the places I can and try and find something here. Oh, I didn't even realize, yeah, Riley Nash was playing in the minors. He wasn't even playing in the NHL to finish out last season. Um, he's basically just 6'7" D-man. Yeah, that's probably why I don't know Hanley. But trying to see if I can find any more trade tracker things aside from Reddit, since Twitter is in the shits. Um, oh god, this tracker. Oh god, I hate the setup of this one. Whew. Some of them are so bad, they're whatever. It's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. Oh, sweet. Yo, if you're in Ottawa, you just got a tornado watch. Tornado on Canada Day. Let's go. Let's read it here. Let's see what we got. All right, tornado watch. Development of severe thunderstorms may produce tornadoes. This is a dangerous and potentially life-threatening situation. Yo, you gotta watch for your. It's not only free agency watch here in Ottawa. It's tornado watch, baby. Let's go. Oh God, what a world we live in. We got wildfires burning down everything, smoking up all of Ontario. I know which weather boy I blame for that tornado. Oh, I do too. I know. We know. But that weather boy's on vacation, so we can't blame them too much. Um, all right, let's see if anything else is coming down the pipeline here. I would like to see the Sens go after Garnet Hathaway. I think he would be a really nice ad for that fourth line to replace Austin Watson. And you know what? Maybe I'll tweet that out because it's not set in stone unless you tweet it out. And you know what I'll do? I'll tweet out his isolated thing because people like when people put a little analytic here. Let's do a little snip here and then we'll put that in a tweet. Oh yeah, tweeter's not working. That's okay. But I think Hathaway is the kind of guy who you can replace. Um, you don't have the notification yet. Well, then your house is going to be hit by a tornado and you won't know. But yeah, I think Hathaway is the guy you add to replace Austin Watson. Um, sorry, I'm making my tweet here for Garnet Hathaway. Garnet, interesting name. Gustav Nyquist is going to Nashville. All right, Nyquist going to Nashville. Interesting. I like that for them. I think it'll be interesting to see what they build there. Um, I'm still curious that they decided to buy out Matt Duchene, but it seems like Barry Trotz wants to make it his team, wants to change the the culture there, and I thought they were going to initially do more of a rebuild, but it seems like they're trying to retool. So we'll see how that works out for them. And I just heard the first blast of thunder outside, so here comes that tornado. All right. Yeah, if anybody's watching and you want to throw out some names for me to look at, people that you think are interesting, anything like that, I'm all ears. Happy to do that. I'm gonna be streaming for another 20 minutes, and then I'll head off. But I'm here to, if you have any players you want to throw at me that you're like, hey, what do you think of this guy or whatever, I'm listening. So. Um, I'm really curious to see if the trade goes down for DeBrincat today. Because it'll be interesting to see how the Sens are dividing their time when it comes to trading DeBrincat, signing free agents. I'm very interested. Um, Trying to see if anything else pops up here. What a day for Twitter to have a moment, eh? Too funny. Oh boy. Oh, did my tweet just get posted? I tried to make a live now tweet like a friggin' decade ago. Delete that, it's fine. Um, Lying to Detroit, 2 years, 900K. Yeah, that makes sense. I want to see where Sprong ends up. Sprong is another guy. So if Ottawa trades DeBrincat and only gets futures back for him, adding Sprong to your top six, adding Garnet Hathaway to your bottom line, I think that's a good way to use that 10 mil, and you'd still have some left over. Um, I guess, well, you need to sign Shane Pinto, but I think getting Sprong, Hathaway, and then signing Shane Pinto, I think that would be fine. I also think, like, bringing a guy like Zucker, depending on the term and money there, he's an interesting piece. Let me pull up. Well, I just want to refresh this. Okay, so that Belzil contract's made official. Nyquist is official as well. Excuse me. I was gonna pull up the free agent list. Christian Fisher's still in there too. He's a guy who I think is interesting. But let me go back to page page one here. Yeah, so Lucic, Varlamov signing. Why are you on my list if you're signed? Who else? Duchesne. Yeah, like Tarasenko, like I don't think he'd want to come to Ottawa, but he's potentially a guy. My concern with Tarasenko is injuries have not been his friend. Um, but he's a guy. Pacioretty is the one I'm interested in. Like I know he had that bad Achilles injury this year, but he's a good player. Um, I'm very curious to see where he ends up. Uh, Thomas Tatar is another one. If the Sens want to go after Tatar for a top six winger, he's an analytics darling, and he wasn't getting much power play time and still had almost 50 points this season. So he's a guy. I think though, if the Sens do trade for pull up, so Anaheim is the one who keeps coming up apparently as the team that the Sens are potentially talking to Brincat with. If they do that, a guy like Troy Terry, I'd be very interested in him coming back. He's still without a contract for them. I highly doubt they're going to give up McTavish. You run down their list; they don't have like a lot of young up and coming players that are like on their current roster who I'd be thrilled about. Uh, so that's kind of disappointing. But I mean, maybe Jamie Drysdale because he hasn't played a ton of games for them. Injuries have not been his friend this year. Last year he played 81, had 32 points, wasn't sound defensively, but he's potentially a guy that could come in and maybe play bottom pairing minutes for you, something like that. Maybe for top 4 minutes, depending on how you want to set up your lines. But I feel like Anaheim will probably hold on to him, but that's one of their other prospects. I just don't really know what else they could offer the Sens, like draft picks, I suppose. If I pull up, uh, let's pull up the Anaheim Ducks here. Oh, it looks like Ian Cole went to Vancouver on a 1 year, $3 million deal for Ian Cole. I think that was talked about pre free agency that they were interested in him, so that makes sense. All right, let's go to Anaheim. Draft picks. So yeah, like Anaheim has their first this year, 2 seconds and 3/3. So they definitely have the draft capital to make something work here. And what else they got? They're not going to trade Trevor Zegras. We all know that. um, yeah, like they don't really, and obviously Ottawa's not going to go for John Gibson now that they have Korpisalo, so that's off the table. Sasha Pastujov. I remember him. He'd be a decent prospect. Um, but yeah, I'm not seeing like a ton here. Oh, Detroit, what are you doing? Detroit's like, how can we actively make ourselves worse? Oh, I know. Let's sign friggin' Justin Hall to a 3 year contract at 3.4 mil. And it looks like Vancouver's also signed Teddy Bluger to a 1 year deal at 1.9 mil. So good for them. Let's see. The Sens have agreed to terms with Rourke Chartier, Justin Curry, and Boko Imama. All AHL deals. Well, they're two-way structured contracts. So 775K in the NHL, 300K in the AHL. But all of them are 1 year deals. Yeah, thanks, Mist, for the update. I was able to see it. All right. I was on top of that one. All right. So let's see what else is happening here. Looks like the Lion deal is official if it wasn't already. Let's see if Cap Friendly's got any more updates for me here. Rourke Chartier, I think the Sens kind of liked him as a depth piece who could play in Belleville or be like a fringe NHL or play on the fourth line sometimes, so that kind of makes sense to me. But still waiting for the depth pieces to come in. I mean, those are deals that they probably just wanted to get done for Belleville. Like, I don't think it really takes much time to get those ones knocked out. You found the numbers for the limits on Twitter now? Okay. What's going on that front? And for those that don't know, here's the free agents still on the table. Here's your top 10. You got Patty Kane, Jonathan Taves. Kind of funny, that Taves and Kane are the 1 and 2 on the free agency list after playing together for quite some time. So you got Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves. Although I know Taves, his future is like kind of questionable. Like I know he's had some health scares over the past couple of years. Matt Duchene, of course, we talked about him a bit. Tarasenko, Klingberg, Pacioretty, Dumba, Zucker, Drouin, Orlov, Bailey. No thanks. You got Bertuzzi, still waiting on him to I think as soon as he gets signed by someone, I think that's when the DeBrincat trade will go down. 6K posts per day as verified, 600 per day as unverified, 300 per day as new unverified. That's how many you can see. Wait, there's limits? Wait. You can only see a certain number of tweets a day? What? Are you serious? Okay, interesting. That's something, I guess. That's rough. What the hell? We're living in an Elon online world. Um Let's see who else. Not seeing much else in the way of free agency news. Yeah, I think that's a bad move for Twitter. Wait, why did the Sens? Wait, why did they tweet the same tweet twice? I don't see any difference in terms of the following three players in respective 1-year, 2-way contracts. Did they misspell someone's name? No. I'm so confused. It's like the same tweet. Okay, whatever. Stars send Colin Miller to New Jersey for a 5th. Okay. New Jersey just picking up those defensive demon like candy. All right, so all right. Well, at the moment, I'm not seeing too much going down here. It looks like Connor Brown's contract finally showing up in cap friendly. Orlov's going to Carolina. No doubt that, or not surprised, I should say, that Carolina was in on Orlov. Orlov, he was quite good. 7.75 for 2 years. Damn, man's got paid. But yeah, Orlov, I'm pretty sure he put in a lot of work. Okay, well now we're 1 for Mike Florida. Oh my God, Florida signed a Mike Riley. What is they doing? But yeah, Orlov, for whatever reason, not the best offensive impact on the power play, but otherwise good defenseman, and makes sense that Carolina would want to pursue him, and yeah. I wonder if I sign into Twitter on like a different browser or something, if that would help. Let's see if I go. Dude, I just want to open a browser. I don't need like a friggin' video about an update that happened. All right. What? Is that not the password? Hello? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I'm gonna be locked out of my Twitter account. Oh no. It's all falling apart here at the Senstennial podcast. The struggle is real. Let me see here. I'm like struggling my brain to find out what I'm looking for. One sec. Because gotta see if I can sign in on another browser and whether that helps. Oh, that's why I was putting in one number wrong. Classic, you know? All right, let's see if this works. If I get, no. Different browser, same problem. All right, so no bueno on that one. I tried. What can you do, am I right? Did you forget a password? I almost did, but no, I'm so smart. I remembered it, dude. All right, let's see. if the Sens tweeted out anything else. No, it doesn't look like it. Any rumors? No, because cannot retrieve tweets at this time. Classic. Okay, love it. Love it. What a time for Twitter to be garbage. Shake my head, Mr. Matt. Listen, not my fault. What can I do? If technology doesn't want to be my friend, it doesn't want to be my friend. Oh man, I think the best move for the Sens is to once they or even before they trade to Brincat, I think signing or maybe they want to try to retain as much leverage as possible. So maybe the DeBrincat trade will come down the pipeline first. Excuse me, because as soon as they trade DeBrincat, then they guarantee that they know how much money they can spend. Otherwise, if they start signing players, then it'll put Ottawa in a bit of a crunch to trade DeBrincat. So, yeah. So let's just wait and see what goes down here. So Mike Riley from Boston, Florida is official at that 1x1 that we talked about. And I'll bring up Cap Friendly's trade page again for you all to take a look at. We got our boy Rourke Chartier. Let's take a look at Rourke Chartier. 750. Did he get a pay increase? Hey, he got a 25K pay increase. Sens are like, hey, bud, we know inflation. Am I right? Man. I didn't even remember him playing those 6 games with the Sens. I'll be honest. Like, I don't know. My brain, like, I thought that was like the 21-22 season, not 22-23. Like, God, time flies by. What else do I have up here? The cap hits. So that's the other thing. I actually forgot that the Sens traded away their 2026 second rounder for Chikrin and their 2026 fourth rounder. I can't even remember who that was for. Oh, Zaitsev. Oh, man. Oh, no. Was it the... No, it was the 2020. So Chicago ended taking a Roman Kantserov for with Ottawa's second round pick that they got for Zaitsev. Bunting's going to Carolina for 3 years, eh? And Ryan Paling to Philly. Well, it's a good thing that Twitter's working for you because it ain't working for the rest of us here. I will be heading out shortly, but I have to thank everybody. Oh, my Twitter refreshed. Let's see if there's anything else I can find here now that Twitter actually is working. Just looking for anything new popping up here. Elon is trying to screw me over. What other people post in Discord? Oh, you know what? That's what I should be using. Why am I not using Discord? Good call. All right. Yeah, nothing new coming out yet. Sorry, people. I'm checking. Apparently, the Orlov signing does not take Carolina out of the Erik Karlsson trade talks. Okay. They still in. Um, be interesting to see if Carolina ends up trading for Erik Karlsson. All right. Well, um, still waiting for any other details that I can find on any signings. The struggle is real. With Twitter deciding to have a fit, I blame Elon, our corporate overlord, who decided to make Twitter die today. Um, However, I do have to get going because I do have some uh, events planned today for Canada Day. So, for everyone who's tuned in, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. If you're a Sens fan, I hope you are. Then go Sens go. Enjoy your Canada Day. If you're a Canadian, and if you're not, then what are you doing? Eh? You should really celebrate Canada Day. It's cool. Uh, Hopefully we'll have some more trades come down the pipeline or some signings too. And Corpus Sal is an Ottawa Senator. That's fun. Glad that we have our goaltending figured out now. And let's see what else the Ottawa Senators get up to this offseason. Thanks for joining me again. I'm Matt. I'm always bad at that shit. Go Sens go. Don't let the tornado hit you on the way. Oh my god, yeah, I gotta avoid that. But anyway, yeah, you can follow our podcast on Twitter at Senstennial. Also on Instagram at the Senstennial. And yeah, we will catch you all later. Pacioretty's going to Washington. Oh my god, that's just what they need. Pacioretty and Ovechkin on the same line. Ugh, filthy. But anyway, yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and catch you next time. And hopefully the Sens make all the best trades and signings in the world, and that's all we can hope for as Sens fans here. So let's do a last refresh cap friendly here. It looks like they just kind of updated a couple minor signings. Thank you all for joining me today. Go Sens go. And I'll see you. We'll probably do a recap video coming out in the next few days here that will recap free agency, and looking forward to releasing that. So have a good one. Stay safe out there. If you're having some drinks, make sure you know you have a DD or a way to get home safely. And take care, everybody, and have a good one. See you later.